Welcome to The Growth Show with me as your host, Joe Camberato. I am an entrepreneur who created my company, National Business Capital, from literally $0 out of my spare bedroom to over $2 billion in business loans secured for entrepreneurs nationwide. Since 2007, I have seen just about every type of business. I provide money and help entrepreneurs access capital to scale fast, but I also know that it's possible for you as you scale to replace yourself, to build systems, processes, and great teams of people that can live on without you so you can actually enjoy your life and your company can still grow. I will not only tell you the peaks and valleys of my story, but I will also bring on world-class entrepreneurs to tell their stories and share their lessons on their growth journeys. Welcome to The Growth Show. All right, welcome to The Growth Show, where we talk about everything around growth, growing your business, making it happen. And I have a great special guest today, the CEO and visionary of EOS worldwide, Mark O'Donnell. Thank you for joining, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, pleasure, and appreciate you being on. And for those who don't know what EOS is, it stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And just to be clear, EOS and the book Traction, which derives from the book Traction by Gino Wickman, which is a really great book. And, you know, the EOS process has literally changed the game in my business. It's helped me build a great leadership team, have a process around meetings, and actually have productive meetings. But more importantly, it's had such a big impact. It's helped really get me out of the day-to-day and actually grow my business easier and faster than ever before. It truly is. It's just truly been amazing. And I think I tell entrepreneurs and owners about it all the time, Mark. I wish, a lot of times when I say, have you ever heard of, Traction or EOS? Some people have heard of it, some people haven't. And they always go like, what is EOS? And I talk about this level 10 meeting, in my business. And they're like, what's a level 10 meeting? So there's a few cool things that come out of this EOS process, but the most important one is our level 10 meeting. And it's a meeting that we have with my team. It's every Wednesdays. We start at 8:30 a.m. We go to 10 a.m. And you do not miss this meeting. You're on time. We start on time. And there's a whole great process and structure that we go through. And then we have these things called our rocks, our quarterly rocks. And then we have some big rocks for the year. But basically, it's a place that we check in on these rocks that we have to have completed, and it's delegated out to the team. And long story short, by having, this level 10 meeting, it's really just helped keep me on track, give me a pulse on what's going on in my own business. Because of EOS, I'm not in the day-to-day anymore, but this still helps me, get a pulse in the business. But more importantly, everyone else in the org, it gets them on the same page, and especially our leadership team. And from using EOS now, we are just getting so many things done. And it almost feels like easier. And I, it's taken some time to get it to work, but man, when it gets working, it's truly, unbelievable. So, I just threw a lot at you, but, why don't you maybe give us a little background on EOS and, kind of how it got started and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for that introduction. So I'm Mark O'Donnell, visionary CEO is my outside title. We actually don't believe in titles at EOS, but you have to have something that goes on your business card. And so we really call ourselves the seat we sit in. And I sit in the visionary role at EOS, which would be the CEO outside title type titling. So I started as an entrepreneur in 2007. I was an engineer prior to that in big pharma. And in 2007, I started my first company in terms of my entrepreneurial journey with my brother. And we grew that really, really fast. We caught the entrepreneurial bug. And I think we were sitting at 9 companies or so. And one of my business partners was like, hey, there's got to be a way to actually operate these businesses cohesively. I'm like, okay. So we went out and read all the books and started searching, found Traction. And I fell in love with the process and the tools. I hired an EOS implementer, Jonathan Smith, to work in my companies. And I think we share Jonathan in common as your EOS implementer.
He's, he's great.
Yeah. So I just fell in love with the tools and the process, decided to become an EOS implementer, and spent since 2014 was a certified EOS implementer. Then in 2020, after being head coach at EOS Worldwide, stepped into the visionary role here at EOS. Mike Payton was our former visionary. He was a visionary of EOS Worldwide for 5 years. And prior to that, Gino Wickman, who's the founder. And so I'm the third in line in terms of being visionary for EOS Worldwide. EOS really started in 2000. Traction was published in 2007. And then fast forward, our community of EOS implementers has grown. And so those are the individuals who help teach, and coach, and facilitate the tools and concepts inside of the book Traction with their clients. We have about 510 EOS implementers all over the world, 37 countries. And they work
Wow.
all day, every day, doing three things for their clients, helping them implement that real world, simple, practical tools that you mentioned one of them with the level 10 and some rocks and other things, but really helping them get everything they want from their business, clarifying their vision, getting the leadership team and the entire organization 100% on the same page with that vision, where they're going, how they're going to get there. Traction from the standpoint of creating disciplines and habits necessary to execute on every aspect of that vision. And finally, healthy is creating really healthy, cohesive, and functional leadership teams. Starts with the leadership team and then goes throughout the rest of the organization. And so that's what we spend all day, every day doing. And so that's a little bit of the story and a little bit of what we do here.
No, it's great. And so you mentioned like leadership teams, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really great knowing the history, and it's actually really interesting. I'll come back to the leadership team thing, but Traction really is relatively a newer process. EOS is really more. You said Gino kind of founded it in 2000, and then the book came out in '07. So really, like I guess like the last 15 years, it
Yeah.
seems like it's where it's really the growth has happened and taken off. So in a way, it's pretty new, which is great. And it's amazing what you guys have done in a short period of time. A lot of people think a short period of time is only a few years, but I think in business, like it takes 15 to 20 years for things to really take off and build a real enterprise. So really awesome.
And the
And
concept of
you
a
know
business operating system is quite new. And that is what EOS is. It's a business operating system. It is pretty new. We did celebrate our 15th anniversary for Traction. And I think once you've sold 2 million books, you start to hear about it more.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it definitely. I've even noticed in the last few years, the more and more I'm out there and talk with people, the more people have heard, of
Mhm.
EOS, and you can start to see too the ones who are EOS folks, because you're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
They've grown some pretty decent companies, and it's a pretty cool culture. And
Mhm.
what I found fascinating is I read the article I think you posted on your LinkedIn. It was written by Gino Wickman, and basically saying like in all of his years, I think he did 2000, just completed his 2000 EOS session, and like 14 hours of moderating EOS sessions. 14,000 hours is amazing. I think
Mhm.
he was basically saying he had this aha moment that really just all great businesses all come down to one simple thing, and that's a rock solid leadership team.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really like hit me. It really gets me thinking, and just implementing EOS in my business. I mean, it's so true. Like, we really didn't start really like rocking and rolling, get really clear, and really, you kind of hit, I think, this glass ceiling in business, and you get to this certain point, and a lot of times, most entrepreneurs, they, kind of, they start something and they do a lot of stuff on their own. It all falls onto their shoulders, and it's really hard to get that first team in place. I know it was for me, and once I got that team in place, it really clicked, and now we brought the team to like a whole new level, and things are really
Mhm.
clicking, and it's funny, Jonathan, we show up at our meets and he's like, he doesn't want to admit it, but he's like, you guys don't even need me anymore, and it's a cool thing. It's nice to hear him saying, and honestly, I love having him. And I think at this point we probably don't have to have him, and I say that very respectfully to Jonathan, but I love having him because it holds us accountable. We put that date; it ensures that we do our quarterly meets, and I find a lot of power in it, and it's so important to get out. We get out once a quarter, a full day outside of the business, which a lot of entrepreneurs, that sounds crazy, but there's so many good things that come out of that once a quarter meeting, and just getting out and being able to think and work on your business for a full day with the team and get really clear on a lot of things is just another whole, game changer. But
Yeah.
it's been great.
It's so powerful to think about your leadership team, getting them 100% on the same page with the vision, where you're going and how you're going to get there. It sounds like, oh, that's an easy thing to do, but it's really not. And you have this, the business cycles that you're in. Most entrepreneurs, they hire their family members, their friends, the people they know and can trust, but the business starts to outgrow them. And the question is, can those leadership team members grow at the same rate that the organization is growing? And can that team remain healthy during that entire time? And that's a difficult thing to do. And getting away from the business, from people knocking on your doors and all the interruptions, and we try as much as possible to get electronics out of the room, and so you can really elevate above all of that, focus in on the business, focus in on each other, be like Mr. Miyagi said, look at eye, look them right in the face, and just create this a high level of team health is just super, super powerful. The other thing that I wanted to mention, you're talking about, hey, you don't need Jonathan anymore. And that's a deep philosophical pedagogy, if you will, of EOS, which makes us a little bit different from other organizations, is that we teach independence versus dependence. Our job is to help you create that leadership team, get everyone just rocking and rolling, teach you these tools so that you can go teach your second layer of managers and so forth and so on. And then you don't need us anymore. And just as you said, though, while you don't need Jonathan, he's a useful human being to have around. So you're like, hey, if I have this third party in the room, I'm just going to be a little bit more accountable. I'm just going to be a little bit more open and honest than maybe I otherwise would have been. And so it's just extraordinarily useful. But we do that by design. So you just have one day at a time, total freedom. You can have us back or not have us back. It's all good. That's true entrepreneurial freedom for both parties, right?
Yeah, no, it's super fair and makes sense. And there are definitely things that Jonathan points out every single time, and things that kind of we bring up in the session, and then Jonathan kind of dives into that, and all of a sudden we're going in this direction that we didn't plan for. And this whole opportunity comes to light that we weren't really thinking of, and that's happened a few times. So, I couldn't agree more. And then just the accountability piece, and I also think because I've also spoken to people that are like, oh, I read Traction and we're self-implementing EOS, and I always completely disagree with that. I think it's great to read the book and to get into it and maybe start sharing it with your team. But what I share with everyone is having an implementer and helping you get this process implemented in your business. It takes all the lift off of you as the owner and the CEO. And I like to joke, it's like, oh, here comes Joe with another idea. He went to a conference or went to something at YPO and came back with another thing to bring into the business. And I think it's having Jonathan come in. He also kind of shares, things that are going on in other businesses, and sometimes just hearing that other businesses have the same challenges that you do. Like for my team, because I get out there, I get involved in different groups and things, but my team doesn't necessarily. They're here, in the biz. So for them to hear some different perspectives from a third party, and then also help keep us accountable and really show us and get us to that point, That's really a game changer. And there was someone who I was really busting their chops recently that was self-implementing. I'm like, when are you just gonna just get the implementer ready? Like, you've been talking about this, hey, you can't, like, so they finally
Mhm.
did it, and they've reached out and and thanked me multiple times.
Mhm.
And the only thing they wish they would have done is did it sooner. So
Yep.
no, it's definitely great having that third party. I recommend it. And it just, if there's any time where, as an owner, a business owner, CEO, you can take that lift off of yourself, it's it's worth its weight in gold for sure.
Yeah, and it's validating in a lot of ways, and just as you said, us visionaries, you kind of go out, you learn a bunch of stuff, you want to go bring it to the business, but having that structure to make all those ideas a reality is extraordinarily important. And some of them are bad ideas, let's face it, but
Yeah,
you go learn the things, and uh, you bring it back into the business, and you have this structure, this team to go and make it happen, which is just super powerful. Um, so you're talking about the level 10 meeting earlier, and if you don't mind, I'd love to go into some details about that, because you mentioned self implementers, and we used to say that like 80% of the value of EOS is the level 10 meeting, and it might not be
yeah,
80%,
I couldn't
probably
agree
less.
more.
It, who knows what the actual percentage is, but it's a huge value. And there's a couple reasons that's the case. And whether you're self implementing, you can run this meeting agenda that I'm about to give you. Is it's the moment of truth. It's the time that you can come together as a leadership team. It gives you this routine, this heartbeat and spike and cadence. It's habitual, and it's a discipline which most people miss. It's the left hand know what the right hand is doing. There's really 5 points to a great meeting, and it can be really any meeting, but specifically the level 10 meeting agenda. The reason we call it a level 10 is that most clients that we're working with, they're operating around a 4 if they're being generous on a scale of 1 to 10. And our job is
Yep.
to get to a level 10, right? So it's really good. Nothing, the meetings are never boring, that you're just totally engaged, you're going toe to toe, yet nothing is personal, and you're getting things done with a high degree of accountability. And it's on the same day, it's the same time, it's the same agenda, starts on time and it ends on time. And that's really the key pieces of a great meeting. You can't be late. You mentioned I was chuckling because, like, you can't miss this meeting. Well, there's two reasons why you can, vacation and death. If you're
Yeah,
dead,
yeah,
you don't have
yes,
to come.
yes. Yes,
Like,
and vacation, and we
that's
don't
right.
require you go enjoy your vacation, check out. We don't
Go
need
enjoy your
that.
vacation, and if you're dead, you don't have to come. But it's a very simple agenda. It's 90 minutes in duration. So if anybody's listening that they want to get out a pen and paper and write down the agenda and just try it, you'll be surprised how good it is. So it starts with a segue, and it's a transition from in the business to on the business. So you're sharing one good thing, personal, professional, around the table, and that's 5 minutes at the most. Then you go into a scorecard. What are the 5 to 15 measurables that are giving you a total pulse on the business? Just like you mentioned, Joe, like you know exactly what's going on. You have to have a scorecard to do that. And so 5 minutes on track, off track, really quick. Rock review. So those 90-day priorities you talked about, are they on track? Are they off track? Anything's off track, you're going to put those on an issues list for further discussion. Then you just go quick employee customer headlines. What's going on with your people? Happy, sad, someone had a baby, or whatever. Then a
Yep.
to-do list from the previous week's meeting. There's 7-day actions. Then you go to IDS, and we call that identify, discuss, and solve your issues. So it's a very simple process. With the identification step, you're just digging down to the root cause of the issue. Then you as a team are discussing the potential solutions. Then once you hit sort of an agreement, you just come up with a solve, which is a to-do that goes right on a to-do list. That's 60 minutes out of the 90 minutes is spent in IDS. You're prioritizing the top 3, and you're just rolling through. Then you go to conclude, and that's going to be 5 minutes. You're just going to rate the meeting, recap your to-dos, and see if there's any cascading messages. And that's it. I mean, it's super, super simple and super powerful. So Joe, I'm curious for you, what of the level 10 meeting, what part is the most powerful for you? And what has been the results of that with your team?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think it's the most powerful part, is just how much we're getting done, but how I'm not involved in the day to day, but I'm in tune with everything that's going on in the business, and it's such a simple structure that you guys and Gino put together, and it really it just simplifies. It's so easy to follow. Everybody gets it. But when you go through everything that you just listed from, kind of check in with the whole team, personal, professional, good. Like, you get to see what's going on with everybody, which is awesome. Then
Mhm.
we do our scorecard, which we really toned in our scorecard. And for those who are listening, the scorecard are all the major drivers, of the business. So for us, it's, customers, coming into us, applications, which equal fundings. My company, provides funding to small and medium sized companies. So, but there's all these different things that are happening in order for a client to go through that process. So we check in on all those drivers. If ever anything's off, it's a discussion. We drop it down to IDS to further, get into it. And then, you go into your rocks, and there's all these things that would have normally just, I don't even know what list they would have been on, or we would have talked about doing something in one meeting, then forgot about it the next meeting. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
reality. We had all these meetings that were such wastes of time. So we really narrow in, like, what are the most important things to get done for this quarter. We're getting all of those rocks done. Basically, I mean, there's usually like one rock, and we usually have, um, we've been doing a lot. So we've got a solid like 10, to 12 rocks a quarter. Sometimes even a little bit more, which is a lot, but
That's a lot.
we're knocking all those out. Some of them are small, easy ones. We keep it on there to keep us on track.
Mhm.
Um, and I know the process should be a little bit less. We
Yep,
modify
3
it.
to 7.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And but we've been rock and rolling through those. And then, the people headlines of the organization, who's doing good or who's not doing good, that just keeps like everyone in tune with what's happening and what's going on. And so I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest game changer, is really not feeling like I don't, I think as a business owner, you start growing, you have a lot of things going on, you start to
Mhm.
feel like I don't know what's going on in all these areas anymore. And it's helped actually grow the company bigger than whatever it was. I feel like I know more of what's going on now than when I was just the single, just running, the team and had my hands in everything,
Mhm.
which is pretty amazing to say. So,
Yeah.
just, I guess that finger on the pulse has been great. And then being effective in getting things done.
And it's really preventing what we would call 2 a.m. thoughts, right? I mean, for me as a business
Yes.
owner, I'd like wake up in the morning and be like, go into the office and ask this person that question, this person that question. I would sort of triangulate, and try to get my arms around what was going on. The level 10 is really helping you. Now it's a discipline to not still do that, right? I mean, to still not try to kind of come in with your hair on fire because it's sort of instinctual. And while you feel like you have
Yep.
total control, it's kind of an uneasy feeling, right? It's like you grew up in the city and then you're dropped in the middle of the woods and everything is quiet. And you're like, oh, something's
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
and yeah, and that's the other funny thing, is like when you do, get people in place. We had people in place, and I, then got myself out of the day to day, but I felt very uneasy all the time
Mhm,
because I felt like I never really knew what was going on, and
mhm,
and and then the reality is we had good people in place, but we weren't, those rocks that I talk about now, like,
right,
there were just things that just weren't were just kept getting pushed out, but they were never really like officially on, anything to get done, and these
mhm,
ideas that were great ideas never got executed. So
right,
we're executing at a whole new level now, but I
mhm,
feel, I feel, at ease, and feeling connected to, what's happening, in the org. Um,
yeah,
you know, bes- besides the level 10 meeting, the accountability chart,
mm,
um, and the people analyzer have also been amazing tools. the accountability chart, is not an org chart. It's basically, each role and what those responsibilities are for each role. And that's been really helpful for our employees to understand, everyone's role and who they should go to for things. But the people analyzer has been a really great tool. And we do quarterly check-ins. I don't believe in yearly check-ins. I think they're a waste of time and ineffective. I've been saying that for a long time, and people thought I was crazy, and now that's getting talked about a lot more. But I just think it's like there's so much changes in business in a year, and you're like, oh yeah, let's do our yearly check-in and talk about things that we should have talked about 9 months ago. So we do quarterly check-ins. They're quick and easy. They're very, they move fast. It's like 15 minutes. If they have to go longer, they do. But we use the people analyzer, which really we've taken our core values and implemented into the people analyzer. And the people analyzer, basically, if you check in with someone and, one of our core values is mutual respect. If you kind of not mutually respecting everyone, the process, people, the business, yourself, whatever it might be, you would get a minus. Or if you're kind of like neutral, not good or bad, you get a plus, or, a plus and minus. And if you're doing great, you get a plus. But, doing that check-in with someone, it's really, when that people analyzer, another simple tool, and we've got like, our 5 core values on there. And when you go through that check-in process, it's actually very easy to have a conversation with someone, explain to them, like why they're missing the mark in this area. And I don't know, it just makes the reviews way more productive. Since we've implemented that, we've got great feedback, not only from my management team, but also from the employees that they've been the most helpful and productive check-ins and one-on-ones that they've had once we started using those. So that's also been super helpful.
Yeah, that's great. And when we talk about the people analyzer, Jim Collins made popular the concept of right people, right seats. That now, what he also says is that you got to get the wrong people off the bus first, and then get the right people on. So what the people analyzer does, takes right people, right seats, puts it into one simple tool. That's one thing that we really emphasize, is that you need to be able to use these tools if you're, in quarantine with COVID or something, right?
Yeah.
When you're not at your best, you still need to have the discipline of using these tools. And so they're simple. They're really, really simple. So you have your core values, you rate each other, but you're creating this specificity in terms of having the conversation. You got your core values, and now it's not like, you're just not a fit here in a general terms. You can say, well, you share the other core values, but you know what? You're a minus in mutual respect in your example. And here's what mutual respect looks like at this organization. And so now you have really specific conversations around building culture with intent, as opposed to just soaring, well, you're not really a fit here.
That's exactly right. Like and not to interrupt you, but the conversations have been so much more meaningful.
Yeah, so much more meaningful. And then on the right seat side, we have a simple concept called GWC: get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. That's a yes, no response. And so based on the accountability chart, the 5 roles or deliverables or expectations you have for the person in the seat, do they get it? Do they have the natural inclination, the wiring, the hard wiring to get the ins and outs of that role? Do they want it? Do they wake up in the morning wanting to do that job? They're excited to do it. It's part of who they are. Then they have the capacity, the time and training and knowledge, experience, capacity to do the job really, really well up to your expectations. And those are yes or no questions. But again, it's about specificity around the conversation. Hey, I'm not sure you get it. Like an accountant probably doesn't get being a salesperson. No offense to accountants or salespeople, but they just probably don't get it. Like, they're just not hardwired in that way, and so that's okay. It's just a no. And the good news is you probably have an accountant seat for them, not a sales seat.
Exactly right.
But yeah, it's just super simple, super powerful, and it is about specificity around the conversation, so that you can build a culture with intent, which is so important in today's labor market. Their culture is going to win over any strategy you can come up with.
Every single day of the week. I couldn't agree more. And we're all about culture here. It's one of our most important things.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone watching, like a simple takeaway, like what employees do you have right now that you've been having challenges with? And this little tool, and I've been using, Jonathan brings it up in our meets. Does this person get it? Do they want it? Are they capable? It makes it so easy when you ask those three simple questions about an employee that you're on the fence with. And if the answer is no to any one of those, or to all three, then you've got some decisions to make. But it makes it so easy to when you're having those issues, one, to dial in on where the issues are, and to two, know what type of decisions you're going to have to make. And we've had to use that recently, unfortunately, with some folks. And it makes things really, really clear. So I definitely encourage you to try that out. It's a simple tool. It's really easy, and that's just one little tool in the amazing tool box of EOS. It's been super helpful in our biz.
Yeah, and those tools, by the way, are downloadable for free at eosworldwide.com. So you can go there, sign up, and you can get access to the entire toolbox.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I was going to ask, if folks want to learn more about EOS, in general, you go to eosworldwide.com and explore more. And I'm sure you can research implementers and things there as well too.
Absolutely can.
Yeah. So what you guys got some amazing things going on. So what's great, what's going on in the world of EOS? I know there's been a lot of focus and a lot of growth happening and a lot of great things. So what's new in the world of EOS, Mark?
Well, I'm going to start with what our core target is. And so a core target is a big, hairy, audacious goal, whatever you want to call it. It's our big long range goal. And our big long range goal is to have 100,000 companies running on EOS with the help of a professionally trained EOS implementer by 2030. So we got like 8 years to go or so. And that's the goal. We're at 14,000.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. We're a little over 14,000 now, running on EOS with an implementer. Yeah, there's 140,000 companies who are using our tools. So, but we want 100,000 running with an implementer. And so, some of our passion is helping those entrepreneurs, helping people like you, Joe, and people listening to get everything you want from your business, so that you can live your ideal life. And we do that through training toward EOS mastery. So mastering the tools like we're talking about with the people analyzer and the accountability chart and a level 10. We just believe that to the degree that you can master those tools, you can live a life of freedom and get what you want from your business. And that extends not only to the business owner, but the leadership team members and everyone throughout the organization. When we define the ideal life as the EOS life, it's sort of synonymous, which is doing what you love with people you love, making a huge difference, being compensated really well, and having time to pursue other passions. So it's 5 things. That's what we're aiming for. Okay. So if you think about the impact of 100,000 companies running on EOS with the help of an implementer, and everyone in those companies are achieving those 5 things, to me, that's Denton Universe territory. So one of the things that we are doing is we became a franchise system early last year. And so we needed to consolidate our brand. We were at 783 different brands. And so we consolidated that down to one brand. So it's change management gone wild. And so we completed that. And we also started developing our own software tools. And we have 2 licensed software partners right now. And we decided to, on one hand, you think, oh, we're competing with our own licensed software partners. And in some ways we are. But the reason why we made that decision is we needed to hold the integrity of helping entrepreneurs live their ideal life and training toward EOS mastery. And so we're in that process now. and developing the software. We are in beta, so those who visit our website are welcome to jump on for free, test out the beta, to implement all these tools. And ultimately, we want everyone in your company. If you've got 50 people in your company, the software tools allows us to get Jonathan Smith all the way down to the bottom of the organization and the front lines of the organization. So they're running these meetings, they're feeling the impact, they have the opportunity to live their ideal life, their EOS life as well. And so that's a big undertaking for us. We hope to launch officially later this year, early next. We'll see how it goes, but it's been a fun ride so far.
That's awesome, and I think that you guys are going to crush your goal of 100,000. I think you're gonna way exceed it, and I can just feel and see just from speaking to others, even even in the last 2 years, just more and
Mhm.
more, leaders that I know that run great businesses have all been implementing EOS in their business. So, big
Yeah.
shout out to you guys, and hope you crush that goal. I know you
Yeah.
guys will, and it's amazing what you're doing. It's really amazing what Gino Wickman started. I've had the pleasure of
Mhm.
speaking to him a few times, and it's just amazing how true he stays to all these core principles, and how it's been just implemented the whole rest of the team, and to see all of
Mhm.
that be carried on. And it's just a testament to EOS, and how effective it is, and that you guys practice what you preach. So much respect to
We
you guys.
definitely do. We're just like any other entrepreneurial company that we work with, for sure.
That's great. And do you guys have an outside implementer come in for your sessions? Or
We
who?
do, we do. Gino was our implementer until earlier this year or late last year, and now CJ
Okay.
Dubé is our EOS implementer, who is also our global community leader. And so she was on the leadership team. She now moved off the leadership team and is our implementer now, and she's absolutely great. So she's our we have sessions. We do exactly what we teach,
That's great.
and you know, and get yelled at by our implementer for not doing it right and all the things.
Well, good. I hope she's really tough on you guys.
Oh, she's tough. She's tough.
That's great. That's good stuff. That's awesome to hear. I love it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned too, we were talking before, you've got some really great new books coming out. What are those new books that one I want to look out for? What should our viewers be looking out for as well too?
Yeah, so we just late last year, Gino wrote the EOS Life, which is going over those 5 things I mentioned, and so that's our last book. It's doing really well. And then we have our new book coming out in September, which is Process. So it's a deep dive into the process component of EOS and how to get those processes documented and followed by everyone in your organization so you can really scale your business. So that's written by Mike Payton, our former visionary, and Lisa Gonzalez, one of our certified EOS implementers. And so that will be late September. So we're really looking forward to that. I think when you look at implementation of EOS or any business operating system, the process component tends to be the most often neglected because it's hard and it's not particularly fun or interesting. Now, for
Yep,
me as an engineer by former trade, process is a thing I enjoy.
I'm with
But
you.
yeah, it's just going to make process accessible to people, make it less scary, give you some good tips and tricks to really move the needle around strengthening that process component in your business. So that
Yeah,
we're
and
excited
I,
about.
I, I can't wait to read that book, and I'm excited about it. I'm huge with processes, and even though I'm like a natural, my thing sales and marketing, but more
Mhm,
sales. So typically, I used to not have a respect for any processes. I just wanted to sell more and didn't care how anything else worked because all that
mhm,
mattered was sales. But then when it all clicked for me, it was like, well, wait, I can, with the right processes in place, I can do way more sales and close more deals than I ever imagined. And
mhm,
that's what I utilize to motivate me to get those processes done that aren't sometimes fun. We kind of have a joke in our biz that we have a process for a process, and we will not do, we won't do anything without a process.
yeah.
But anyone who's been here really, appreciates it. I've had people say to me recently, wow, like I never understood how important processes were until I,
Mhm,
worked at National. So super pumped about that. And I always say, like, it's really, I think the three most important things are people, processes, and culture. Like,
Yeah.
those are really like the most important things. And if you nail those things, besides a great leadership team, you built can build a really great business. So that's
Yeah,
great.
for
You're
sure.
really excited for that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Anything else you'd like to add before we close out here, Mark?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. If you're an entrepreneur or you're on a leadership team or you someone who helps entrepreneurs, um, you deserve to live a life you love. You deserve to run a business you love instead of your business running you. And EOS, among many other tools, can help with that. So, please go on our website, download the tools, pick up the book, and read it. Feel free to reach out. But most people don't think hey, I signed up to be an entrepreneur, so I deserve 90-hour weeks and to like miss all my kids' football games and basketball games and events and things. But you deserve to live a life you love. You deserve to be at all the games and not miss the family events and live a life of total freedom. And so we hope that EOS just helps you do that a little bit better.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. And it's not just talk; it's truth. And
Mhm.
from implementing EOS in my business, it's not only have I been able to grow more and knock things out of the park and hit goals, and have better meetings and better teams and build a better business. I've gained more time back from it, which is truly
Mhm.
amazing. And it's lowered my level of anxiety because I'm more in tune with what's going on. So
Yeah.
it's been a
Yeah.
game changer. I push it on everybody. I probably should be an EOS salesperson because I'm just such
Well,
a
you can
such
be.
a believer because it's worked. Maybe we should talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Sign me up. I'm in. I'm owe some past due commissions.
Well, yeah, probably.
That's that's funny.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, really great stuff.
Yeah.
And if you are, what is there a certain like size that you should be as a company? Like, is there a certain place
Hmm.
that you should be when you're like ready to move into moving towards EOS mode and pulling in an implementer? Like, what point should that be at?
Yeah, so our sweet spot, we say, is 10 to 250 employees, and that's kind of where we spend all of our time. Now, we have companies that are much, much larger, thousands and thousands of employees, and we have some that are small companies with 2 or 3 employees. So, but our sweet spot's really 10 to 250. So, I would say, you need to start thinking about moving into the tools of EOS, getting a vision traction organizer, a VTO we call it, and kind of mocking up an accountability chart, having those rocks and things. Probably when you have your first employee or two, just start self-implementing, start using the tools as you get going. And when you're, getting closer to 10 employees, maybe 8 or so, it might be time to start looking at working with an EOS implementer to help you get to the next level. But that's our sweet spot, 10 to 250,
Makes sense.
anywhere in the world.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Really
Yeah.
great stuff. If you are, want to learn more and understand, what EOS truly is, I definitely recommending, get this book Traction, read it. It's by Gino Wickman. And please check out Mark's company at eosworldwide.com so you can learn more about the whole EOS process. And if you've got a business, you've got 10 plus employees, and you're trying to like get to that next level, get your team together, and really get out of the day to day, I truly recommend reaching out and bringing the implementer into your business. As I've said before, it's been a game changer of mine. I hope you found this session of the Grow Show helpful. I hope you got you thinking on ways that you can better grow your business. And again, I just want to thank Mark for coming on the show today and sparing your time. So thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
You got it. My pleasure. We'll talk soon and be well.